Hello and welcome to another episode of Laker Connections from Home. I'm Aaron Valentino.
And I'm Brian Rudman. Let's get right into it, Aaron. Finally got some Oswego State sports, but we'll start the show with a quick schedule update across Oswego State athletics. Because in the last 2 weeks, the Lakers baseball and softball, as well as the men's and women's lacrosse teams, have had to cancel or postpone games for various reasons. So far, the softball team has played just one doubleheader, and the women's lacrosse team has only taken the field once, while none of the teams have played a home game yet. So, Aaron, let's start with this. How do these cancellations and postponements affect these teams?
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine how these players are feeling right now, man. They've waited so long to get back out on the field, and to have these constant delays like this, it's really got to be hard for them. As athletes, a lot of them have routines that they need to get into once the season starts, to have a successful season. And I got to imagine it's tough to, get into a routine when you don't have, you don't know where you're playing, you don't know when you're playing, you don't know, is the game going to get canceled? Are they going to be able to do certain things right? Yeah. I got to imagine this has got to be tough for all the athletes, but it's crazy. This is the world we live in now. And this is just something that we're going to have to deal with this year until everything goes back to normal.
Yeah, and I also think it's going to affect things later on in the season, because now you're going to have to load up those games that you have to make up. Later in the season, you're going to be playing a lot of games in a short amount of time. For example, the men's lacrosse team was only supposed to play once a week on Fridays. There's a point in the season they're playing 2 games in 3 days, so definitely not normal. Fatigue may start playing a factor. But now moving on to the week ahead, Aaron and I are going to break down the biggest matchups in Oswego State sports for the upcoming week. Aaron, why don't you start us off down at the Laker turf with some lacrosse?
Yeah, let's get right to it. This Saturday, the Oswego State women's lacrosse team will take on the Fredonia Blue Devils at Laker Turf. The Lakers will look for their second win of the season in a non-conference game. The Lakers have won their last 4 matchups against the Blue Devils, outscoring them 42-5 in their last 2. Brian, what are we looking at for this one?
Well, you know what? This is the first perfect matchup for Oswego to open up at home and to open up in the SUNYAC against, because this is a game that they realistically should be winning. Fredonia was number 5 in the division in the preseason poll. They went 4-13 overall the last full season they had, and they went 1-8 in the SUNYAC. This is a team that's really struggled. And the last time these two teams faced on, the Lakers won 23-3. That's right. A 20-goal deficit was what the Fredonia Blue Devils were facing the last time they came to play Oswego. So Oswego obviously looking to continue that. For the Lakers, look for Sela Wiley to play a big role in this one. She led the team in the opener against Morrisville State with 7 goals. One other thing I think to keep an eye out on is how they handle the goalie situation. Delaney Kendrick in the first start of the season gave up 14 goals on just 16 shots, so not exactly what they were looking for, but hey, they got the win. That's exactly what they're going to be looking for again on Saturday. Look to see if they, maybe switch up the strategy. Maybe they try and play a bit more possession in the offensive zone, maybe not letting Fredonia get as many shots off.
Yeah, I'm not too worried about this one at the moment. The Lakers have won their last 4 matchups against the Blue Devils, like I said before. In their last 2, they've outscored them 42-5. And plus, Fredonia, they're not off to a hot start. They lost their first game 16-6 against Allegheny. Yeah, I was going to point out Sela Wiley too. I think she's going to have another great game. 7 goals in game 1. That is mighty impressive for sure. I think Oswego is going to be fine for this one.
Yep, should be an interesting one. Should be a good one to get the season kicked off at home. But now moving to the men's side of things, the Lakers will open up their season on the road against the Brockport Golden Eagles. The first game of the season for Oswego comes 2 weeks later than originally scheduled, after the men's team has had 3 games either canceled or postponed. On the other side, Brockport will come in 0-1 after losing their non-conference opener 7-6 against Alfred University. So, Aaron, what's it going to take for the Lakers to start the season on the right foot this Friday?
Yeah, I think the key is going to be for them to be geared up. They've been waiting all year to get started. Their game against Ithaca got canceled. They're not even getting their home after their first 3 games were shut down, we're talking about lacrosse, not baseball. My mind is everywhere today. After their first 3 games getting canceled, opening day is excited for anyone. And after the 2020 season, getting cut so short, and a lot of these players looking to build on what they were doing, I think it's really exciting. They're going to be geared up, and they've struggled against Brockport in the past, which I think is going to be a concern. But the teams look so different now. I think it's going to be an even playing field for both sides. I'm really just excited to watch to see what Kevin O'Donnell does in this one. He's had a great 2 first seasons, and of course, Weston Gray. He's going to be someone that we're going to be keeping a close eye on pretty much all season long.
Yeah, I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head in when you first started. Keep an eye out for Rust in this one. Obviously, this is the opener for the men's lacrosse team. We don't know what they're going to come out with. You also, maybe they're a little over anxious, over excited. Maybe they're a little too aggressive and they get caught out of position. That's one thing that Brockport's not going to have to worry about. They've already gotten their first game in. They've knocked the rust off. That's one disadvantage that I think Oswego is going to have going in. But like you mentioned, Kevin O'Donnell, he's such a beast in goal. You never know. Whenever you have him, you're going to have a chance.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, let's get to some baseball. After canceling their opening day game against Ithaca and moving their home opener against Brockport, the Oswego State baseball team will finally get their season started on April 2nd. Not in Oswego, but in Brockport after the doubleheader was moved earlier this week. Then the Lakers will continue their road trip against the New Paltz Hawks on April 6th, my birthday. They'll play a doubleheader against both of these teams. Brian, what are we looking at for this one?
Well, first of all, Aaron, happy early birthday since we do.
No, thank you. Really appreciate it.
Of course. It's very on topic with the Oswego State athletics. It means a lot to them. But listen, starting off on the road with 2 doubleheaders, not exactly ideal, especially when you were thinking, okay, we'll have that Ithaca home opener and then we'll get things started with Brockport at home. But listen, these are games Oswego they need to win. If they hope to defend that SUNYAC crown, which they've done for many years in a row now, these are games you got to go on the road and win, especially Brockport in your division. Going to be a big one. You're going to see this team a couple times this year. And obviously with a lot of shuffling around, we'll have to see. How does Coach Landers handle the pitching? With that game being switched to Brockport, does that change anything? Is he going to have a shorter leash with pitch counts, with innings? How does that affect everything? And also, same thing with the lacrosse team. Are they going to knock off the rust? This is the first time they're seeing different pitching for the hitters, and vice versa. So we'll have to see how this team does.
Yeah, the Lakers, unlike most teams I think around the league, are bringing back most of their team from the 2019 season. So it's going to be interesting to see how they react to this one. They're definitely looking to get off on the right foot, and they're going to be really amped up to start this game. I'm really excited to see if they can defend that SUNYAC crown. Okay, we are going to take a quick break, but when we come back, it's time for another edition of Fill in the Blank. I love this new segment. You won't want to miss it. You're watching Laker Connections on WTOP 10.
Got your personal references, high school diploma or equivalent?
Skip the drama. Get your diploma.
It's right there.
Find free adult education classes at finishyourdiploma.org.
We taught him how to hit a baseball. How to hit a receiver. The strike zone. The net. You taught him how to hit the upper corner. You even taught him how to hit the open man. But how much time have you spent teaching him what not to hit?
When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making home affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
It's a beautiful day out here. Sunny today with light breezes, giving way to clouds in the afternoon. We could see some light precipitation to moderate precipitation later on, followed by powerful storm-like conditions. 90 miles per hour winds are expected. Authorities are asking everyone, stay indoors. Come on, that's it. Let's go.
My new dad teaches me all kinds of stuff.
I wouldn't use this one.
He helps me with my decision making.
Ever.
And he's even teaching me how to drive.
And that's why cars have bumpers.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of kids in foster care will take you just as you are.
welcome back to Laker Connections on WTOP 10. It's time for a little fill in the blank. One of us will make a statement about Oswego athletics. The other will fill in the blank, and then we will discuss. Aaron, why don't you start us off once again with some women's lacrosse?
Absolutely, Brian. All right, first up, women's lacrosse attack Logan Castiglione will have blank goals this season.
I think 33 goals is an achievable mark, which is realistically, I think, where she should be at. She's already got 5 goals through the team's first game. So if you look at the schedule, they've got 9 games left this year. So if she averages that 5 goals per game, she'll be at 50 for the entire year. And while I don't think anyone expects that of her, I think 33 is a reasonable assessment of where she could be. She'll just have to average 2 to 3 goals per game with the occasional standout game, and she'll get to those 33 goals, no problems. And we also talk about where this team is at. She's probably going to be one of the leaders amongst the attackers. Their lead scorer, Sela Wiley, is a midfielder. So you can bet that she's going to be one of the go-tos at certain points in the season.
Yeah, I think 33 is a fair number as well. Seeing how well she played in the first game, I think she's definitely going to be able to keep that up. This is a performance that she's going to need to keep up all season. This Oswego State women's lacrosse team has lost a lot of scoring the last 2 years. They didn't even really get a chance to replace Teresa Shattuck from the 2019 season. So they're going to need people like Castiglione to keep up this performance. And I think 33 goals is not only a number that I think she can achieve, but I can expect her to do.
I would have to agree. Moving on to the Diamond, the softball team's pitching staff should have a target ERA of blank in the 2021 season.
Yeah, I'm going to go with 3.50. That sounds so weird. 3.5 ERA. That's right around where they were 2 years ago. And I think that's where they need to be around that same mark. I mean, 2 years ago, they made the SUNYAC tournament and actually had some success there despite going under 500 overall that season. But I think that's right where they need to be. If they can repeat that success, I think they're going to be perfectly fine. And I think they can get there.
Yeah, I think if you look at any team, I think if you have a 3.5, it's a decent ERA. And if this softball team's able to hit the mark, they'll be in pretty decent shape. You take a look at the season opener doubleheader across 14 innings. They gave up 8 earned, so not terrible, but they're going to need to bring it down. I think if you're at 3.5, you're competitive in games, and you're certainly competing for that SUNYAC tournament.
Absolutely. And sticking with the Diamond, our last fill in the blank, the number of strikeouts Oswego pitcher Ryan Finnegan will have in his first start is?
I think 5's a pretty good number for Finnegan. Whether it comes against Brockport or New Paltz next Tuesday, we're not entirely sure where he's going to be making his first start in the SUNYAC. I think 5's a pretty decent number. I'd expect, first time out in over a year, I'd expect him to be somewhere between maybe like 3 to 5 innings. That's usually where he was at the beginning of the year last year. I think that's a fair assessment of how long he'll be throwing. There were certain games where he excelled in strikeouts and certain games where he didn't. So I think 5's a pretty accurate number. I think he'll be around there for his first start.
Yeah, for your first start, I think 5 is perfectly fine. If you get to 5, it would be great if you could get over 5 anytime that you can have, over 5 strikeouts, 7, 8 strikeouts in a game. That's going to be really helpful to your team. But I think 5 for the first start is a good number, a fair number for him to start at. And, once he gets that, he can only go up from there. And we expect big things out of Ryan Finnegan for the upcoming season. Expect him to get more than 5 strikeouts a game.
Absolutely. He's going to be a key for that Oswego State baseball team looking to defend their SUNYAC crown. All right, we're going to take a quick break, but don't go anywhere. When we come back, I sit down with the head coach of the men's lacrosse team, Drew Bezek, ahead of the team's season opener against the Brockport Golden Eagles. You're not going to want to miss it, so keep it here. You're watching Laker Connections on WTOP 10.
A boy born in Joplin, Missouri was fascinated by anything with wheels and a motor. The odds of him winning both the Daytona 500 and the Brickyard 400 in the same year, 1 in 195 million. The odds of a child being diagnosed with autism, 1 in 68. I'm Jamie McMurray, and my niece has autism. Learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs.
Looking for these? You drive buzzed. It could be one very expensive ride.
First, you gotta make bail. Then pay me to get your car back.
Your insurance premiums will go through the roof. And my legal fees just keep adding up. All told, it could end up costing you $10,000.
Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Cook foods to the right temperature using a food thermometer. 3,000 Americans will die from food poisoning this year. Check your steps at foodsafety.gov.
To Maddie, congrats on paying off all those student loans.
Finally, right?
How'd you manage that anyway?
I started tracking my spending, changed a couple of habits.
Wow, I'm kind of living paycheck to paycheck right now. I don't even know how I'm doing it.
Well, have you tried saving a little?
I want to, but where's that money gonna come from? Bill collectors, they're the worst. Am I right?
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind.
Not home.
Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org.
And welcome back to Laker Connections right here on WTOP 10. I'm now joined by the head coach of the men's lacrosse team here at Oswego State, Drew Bezek. Coach, thanks for taking the time to talk to us today.
Absolutely. Love being and doing anything with you guys.
Well, we appreciate it very much. Exciting time. You guys are finally starting up the season after a couple delays. I know it's a couple weeks in the making, and we thought you were going to start 2 weeks ago, but now that we're here, how's the team feeling going into their first game in the year?
We've been excited the entire time. Obviously with the COVID scenario, as we all know, every day is a battle. We're still working our way towards Friday and being able to play a game. And as a group, we're super excited. Obviously, we're just thrilled to have the opportunity to be able to even play, because we didn't know coming into the season or coming into the semester if we were even going to play games. So, we're just excited for the opportunity.
Now, obviously this is the first game that you guys have played in over a year. Is there any concern that the team may be overexcited or get too overly aggressive, especially at the beginning of the game?
Absolutely. And that's the beginning of any season. You just have so much excitement and so much energy. So, from a coaching staff to a leadership standpoint, just trying to stay even keel, and try to keep consistent energy is a massive piece for us, especially that first 10 minutes of the game of not, running ourselves into the ground and then running out of gas. So trying to be mature and just go play by play and go from there.
In the locker room pregame, take us through what the message to the team's going to be to keep them even keel going in.
I think the number one thing is for us being organized. If we can be organized as a coaching staff and as a team with what we're implementing, and I think as coaches, just trying to be able to set the tone of not getting too high with our energy, but also, being able to keep them focused. That really helps us to be able to work our way through the first 10 minutes. And we always communicate with our guys, especially on the defensive end, of just be patient, let the game come to you. Don't, try to make a massive play in the first couple minutes. And that usually will help us, hopefully mentally be in a better spot.
Now, you guys have had 3 games at this point, either be canceled or postponed. What have some of the effects on the team been mentally, having to deal with all the cancellations and postponements?
Our guys have been unbelievable. That's like the one most impressive part. And I think, all younger people really dealing with the COVID scenario have done a great job of kind of going with the flow, and I think we've learned that over a year. So, they've done a good job with that. Obviously, there's some frustration. But they know that we still have the opportunity to play games. So, there's still light at the end of the tunnel. So that's a massive piece that keeps them motivated and mentally engaged.
Now, looking big picture at the season as a whole, how are you feeling about your team's chances going in to grab one of those 4 SUNYAC playoff spots and make a push for that title?
I think I'm really excited about our group. I think we have some pretty dynamic guys. Obviously we won't know till we get on the field, and, the West in our conference is a super competitive group with, ourselves, Geneseo, Cortland, and Brockport. So, it's really going to come down to who makes the least amount of mistakes, who shows up and takes care of business. So I think we have the the talent and the potential to do it. It'll just be whether or not we can, make it happen.
Now, Coach, real quick answer because we got to go to break. After a few weeks of practice, is there any one area you feel that your team can really excel in?
Like I said, I think first game we'll know. I think we have some areas defensively. We have a little bit more of a returning base, so it gives you a little more comfort from that standpoint. But I think offensively, this is probably the most dynamic group we've had since I've been here.
Well, there you go. Great defense, dynamic offense. Coach, we really appreciate you taking the time to come and talk to us today. We're thrilled to have you guys back on the field coming up. We can't wait to see you guys playing at the Laker Turf this year.
Awesome. Thank you, Brian.
Thanks, Coach. All right, we're going to take a quick break here on Laker Connections. Don't go anywhere. When we come back, it's Laker Showdown. I try to defend my crown against Aaron. Don't go anywhere. You're not going to want to miss it. We'll be right back.
This job looks perfect. It says you need a high school diploma. You got one of those, right?
Skip the drama. Get your diploma.
I got that.
Find free adult education classes at finishyourdiploma.org.
They say that when you're facing extreme danger, your life flashes before you. If you think that's sad, consider facing it before you even have enough life to flash before your eyes. Deaths and injuries can be prevented by using the right car seat. Visit safercar.gov/the-right-seat to know what is appropriate for each age and size.
There's a shelter pet who wants to meet you. Meet one today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org. Adopt.
Hart, what's going on? I'm leaving. Why? What did I do? Not enough. The pressure's too much. I quit. I get it. I can do better. Just please, don't leave.
Don't let your heart quit on you. Get your uncontrolled high blood pressure to a healthy range before it's too late.
It's a short ride from your neighborhood to your naturehood. To find a neighborhood park or green space near you, visit discovertheforest.org.
Welcome back to Laker Connections on WTOP 10. I'm Brandon Ladd. It is now time for the most exciting segment in all of Oswego, Laker Showdown. Tonight we have last week's champ, Brian Rudman, against Aaron Hollywood Valentino. Let the shenanigans begin. Brian Enos posted an impressive 38 RBIs his sophomore season 2 years ago, following a weaker 8 games his junior year. Can Enos get back to 30 RBIs this season in 26 games, Brian? Listen, it's a tall task, but I think so. Listen, those 8 games last year, that's a blip on the radar. I think we can throw that out the window. Shortened season, he had a bad week. That's it. Had a bad week. I think he's going to be back and better than ever this year. First of all, this is a guy, like you said, 38 RBIs in his last full season. He wasn't even the go-to guy in the middle of the order that year. He had Mike Delcari and Lucas Olson ahead of him getting those chances with men on base before he did. And he also improved from his freshman to sophomore year. So the 2 full seasons we've seen those RBI numbers jump by 19. He doubled them from 19 to 38 between the 2 years. He's also just one of the best hitters on the team flat out. He led the team in batting average. So when he gets those chances with runners on, he's converting them day in, day out. I also talked to Coach Landers this week as they get ready for the season. Ryan Enos is the guy.
Here we go.
They have the
I'm going to go under because it's going to take a long time for him to get in the groove, especially since the cancellation of Ithaca and they had to move the Brockport game. So that's going to be a factor throughout the season. They're going to be moving games. They're going to be canceling games. It might be a shorter season than we already think it's going to be. Plus, let's say they play the full season right now. 30 RBIs in 26 games. That's really freaking hard to do. Major leaguers don't do that. They don't have 30 RBIs in 26 games. So for a Division III college player to do that, it would be extremely impressive.
Listen, but here's the thing.
He would have to get 1 RBI a game, and I don't think he's going to do that. I don't think he's going to average over one.
And he improved this year, so I think he can do it. I really do.
And the point's got to go to Brian here. Got to be a believer here because in 43 games, he had 38. It's not that hard to think 30 in 26.
He can improve. He can improve.
He could improve. The last time the men's lacrosse team matched up against Brockport was in 2019. The Lakers won that game 11-8. On Friday, when Oswego travels to Brockport, will they be able to score 10 or more goals, Aaron?
Yeah, I'm going to go over here. They're going to come into this game running and gunning, and they are going to be motivated. They've had their first 3 games canceled early in the season, so they are just waiting to get back out there. A lot of times, though, when teams, they haven't played in a really long time, and I think we saw it throughout sports this year, the first thing that goes right out the window is the defense. And with that being said, I think Brockport and Oswego's defense are both going to be on the lax side this game. Lax, get it? So I think there's going to be a lot of goals scored in this one. I think Oswego will easily get over 10. They averaged about 9.5 goals last year. I think that's going to go up. I think Weston Gray is going to have a huge game. I think we're going to see him have a game where he gets close to like 6 or 7 goals. So, yeah, I think it's definitely going to be over, and I think they're going to take the win.
All right. I'm going to say no, and I got 4 pretty basic reasons. Number 1, this team, I think they're going to be in need of a little soul-searching early in the season. They lost their leading scorer, Kyle Bacon.
What do they need to do, go on a guided meditation?
Well, they lost their leading scorer. They got to find out who's their guy, and obviously it's Weston Gray and Dan Doolin, but that also means the Brockport defense is going to be focusing on them. Number 2, is there going to be rust? First game back, can they hit the goal? I don't know. We'll have to see. Third, face-offs. They're not that great when it comes to face-off, which means Brockport's going to be controlling most of the possessions. Not as many shots, not as many goals. Finally, the Lakers in general have struggled to score against the
They're going to need
Eagles.
to score over 10 goals to win. Defenses are going to be lax.
We're going to have to see. They've struggled to do it in the past.
It's a
Guys, let's take a time out here and think about this. Are they going to be running and gunning, or are they going to take a guided meditation tour? I'm going with the running and gunning.
Yeah,
Aaron gets the point. The women's lacrosse team started its 2021 season with an offensive vengeance, taking 41 shots against Morrisville State. They won that game 20-14. Can the team get more than 30 shots against Fredonia on Saturday at the Laker turf, Brian?
I don't think so. And it's not because I don't think this team's going to win. I think there is a much better team than Fredonia. But I don't quite think so, because I think you take a look at this, and they really dominated that game against Morrisville State. And, yes, I think Oswego's better than Fredonia. But, I think Fredonia is definitely a better team than Morrisville State. So in a game against a better Fredonia Blue Devils team, I don't think they're going to get there. Granted, we talked about it. Fredonia lost 23-3 to this Lakers team the last time they faced, but they have definitely improved. They went 2-1 in their shortened season last year, so they're obviously getting better. This is a Fredonia team that averages giving up less than 30 shots per game. They averaged that last year. They gave up less than 30 shots in their season opener. I just don't think it's going to happen. One other thing, because Oswego's been struggling in goal in that opener, I think they slow the pace down. I think they try to control the possession a little bit more.
Time for me to get in here, Brian. I always let you have your time. I just want you to notice that. I just always let you have your time. So I think it's easily going to be over. A lot of times the Crush are going to need over 30 shots in a game to get the win. It's about what they averaged over a year ago. Plus, here's the real reason. In their last 2 matchups against Fredonia, they've outscored them 42-5. In order to get to goals of that magnitude, you're going to need a lot of shots. That's about 20. That's about 20 goals per game in each of them. Plus, they've won their last 4 against Fredonia as well. I think that once again they're going to be dominant, and I think they're going to get over 30 shots. 42-5. That is a hard number to look past that. So I think they easily get over.
Improved.
How do you know? You haven't been watching Fredonia's women's lacrosse.
Guys, let's think about this here. 30 is a magic number for them, an over-under. Against teams that are worse than them, they get over 30. This week's win goes to Aaron Valentino.
Yeah, thank you. Oh, my God. I was going to say.
All right. Fair enough. Well, that's all the time we have on Laker Connections this week. Thank you for watching. Be sure to tune in Saturday, 1 p.m. as we have our first live sports game in over a year here on WTOP 10 with that women's lacrosse game against Fredonia at 1. But for now, for Aaron Valentino, Brandon Ladd, and our entire crew here at Laker Connections, I'm Brian Rudman. Thank you for watching, and have a great night.